Angie Ray, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I like to start out by asking everybody how they got into music and how their journey started to where they are now.
Yeah. So my journey is kind of interesting because my parents were both DJs growing up. They actually met at a rave.
Whoa.
Yeah. So my mom was like at the raves and I'm in the womb partying. So it's kind of been just integrated in my life forever. I just discovered so much great music from both my parents. They both have similar tastes, but also different. So it was kind of nice to be able to get different sides and then also discover my own music, of course, discovering Skrillex and,
Hmm.
the icons that we all love still today. I really always loved it, and funny enough, I didn't think I wanted to do it because I just grew up around it. I was like, I want to do something different.
Hmm.
Until I went to my first festival when I was 18, and that really changed everything for me. I was like, oh wow, like watching, especially Cascade, he was a huge inspiration for myself. I instantly at his set, I was like, that's what I want to do. Like that is literally it. That's it. Um, and after that, for I think my 21st birthday, I got my first decks. And I just practice every single day, teaching myself. I would mix for 2 hours straight and just record it and then watch it back, see what's good, see what's not. And yeah, after that, about a month after me practicing, I got invited for my first gig in South Carolina and played to a room of about three people. And it was the best thing I ever did in my life. I fell in love with it instantly and knew that's what I wanted to do forever. So
That's so
yeah.
cool. There's a lot there. Okay, so
Yeah.
what was your first festival?
It was Dawes Energy in Utah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 2 day festival. And I remember it was just, I was very anxious because I had never been to something like that. And I
Hmm.
had never really been around that many people, too. It was a lot of people, about 50,000 people, I think. And I was just like overwhelmed, but in a good way because everyone was so kind. I had made friends that I wasn't expecting to make. And I don't know, it's just really inspiring for me, just as a human, to want to be better and live life.
For
So,
sure. My
yeah.
my first one was Magnetic Music Festival in Atlanta. I was
Oh, wow.
15 and I went with my
Wow.
dad. Flux Pavilion was headlining and like my dad had never been to anything like that. So
Yeah.
like him tagging along because I was a minor, like he had to kind
Yeah.
of go with me. I mean, since then, like I've been DJing for like 10 years now. He goes with me
Wow.
to everything now and he loves it.
Oh,
So like it's awesome.
that's
Um,
awesome. That's so cool because that's but when I went to my first festival, my dad was
mhm.
also there with me too. So similar situation. I love that.
That's cool. And then your parents being DJs is
Yeah.
super super cool. Like that's rare, I feel like. Normally like people's parents are completely different and like they do something
Yeah.
else and then like you the DJ is like I'm gonna rebel. I'm gonna do music or like something not, in that vein. So
For
what was that
sure.
like growing up? Like I'm sure there was a lot of music in the house and all that.
Yes, of course. I mean, it was mainly my dad, he was DJing mainly when I was before I was born and when I was born. So when I was
Mm.
really young, and then he fell out of it for a while. But my mom, she consistently did it when I was growing up. She had her own residency when she lived in Washington for a while, and she played at a winery. And so I would always go with her during the day and be able to dance and see like how she plays. And she played on vinyl for a while. So
Mm.
being able to see also just the transition of her going from vinyl to digital, it was really cool to just I guess see all of it, but I didn't really grasp it until I decided to do it myself. I feel like you underestimate how much goes into it until you actually do it. But it was really cool to, I feel like, get inspired by both of them. And I feel like how they did it is also different than how I'm doing it, which is really cool just because they're getting inspired by me now. And my
Mm.
dad's back into DJing again too. So it's really cool to be able to inspire each other, I feel like now.
Yeah, I mean
So
That's super unique. Like I
Yeah.
feel like not many people have that as a part of their story. So that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And then you said Utah, right? Where you grew up
Yes.
there?
Yes, I was born there. I grew up there. I moved around. I lived in a few different states. And then
Mm,
when I was about 9, I moved back to Utah and I lived there until I was about 16.
mm,
And then I lived in California for a little bit and then got very expensive during COVID. So we moved down to North Carolina,
nice.
um, which I'm very thankful I did because moving out here is really what convinced me to start DJing. So,
Hmm.
very, very grateful for that.
What about the North Carolina scene drew you into DJing?
So I had actually went to I was going to a Lane 8 and Le Youth show.
Nice.
I'm a huge Le Youth fan. I love him. He's very inspiring to me. And I actually showed up too late to see his set. He was opening and I missed it and I was so heartbroken. But he had last minute posted an afters that he was
Mm,
playing. And so we decided to go there and I went there and got to meet him and see his set live. And something about the scene there, I was like, wow, everyone's, I don't know, in that room, no one was on their phones. Everyone was just dancing and just vibing and connecting. And I had never felt an energy like that before.
mm-hmm.
And so that, like, I don't know, something about the energy of that set, and that was one of my first sets I saw out in North Carolina. It really just was like, wow, the scene out here is really special. And when I got to start playing myself out in North Carolina and South Carolina, just Carolinas period, I something about it, I tell people all the time, especially in Utah, I'm like, it's underrated. I feel like it's slept on. It has such a special, unique community to it. And of course, there's pros and cons to everything, but for me, I've had pretty much an overwhelmingly positive experience. And so I don't know, it's just always been a special place in my heart. Even though I'm not from here, it feels like I am just because I started my DJing roots out here.
Yeah.
So it feels really like home to me in a way.
I feel similarly because I'm raised in Georgia, but
Okay.
as far as DJing goes, like the Carolinas are like my biggest market and they have been for
Yeah.
years. I don't know what it is, but like I'm always going up and down, North and South Carolina and it's been
Yeah.
great, but like
That's
I don't know,
awesome.
something about you mentioned no phones in the crowd. I just
Yes.
closed for Habstract this past weekend and it was a
Yeah.
similar thing. Like they didn't have a no phones policy or anything,
Hmm.
but everybody was locked in. Like I saw there were a couple people on their phones for like, filming a drop or whatever for a second,
Hmm.
but like everybody was having so much fun. And like
That's awesome.
the more that I DJ, the more I understand like the no phones policy. Cause I
Hmm.
I don't know, it's just being able to lock in like that and just focus on the music, not even the DJ. Like I don't feel
Yeah.
like I mean, I see DJing as we're like a tool to deliver the music,
Hmm.
but it shouldn't
Absolutely.
be about the DJ. You know what I mean? It should be about
Yes.
the crowd giving them a good night
Yeah.
and for them to lock in and like dance with each other and have a good time. Like that's what I'm all about.
Hmm.
So having people just go crazy is so much fun for me.
I agree. I'm on the same page. I feel like the most awkward sets I've had is when it's just people standing there like this the whole time because I'm like, hey, I'm right here. Let's dance.
Yep.
Let's have fun. So not that there's a problem with that. I totally understand because I've been that person, but I just prefer, I'm like, let's live in the moment. Let's have some fun. So it is really awesome to be able to get a crowd that is just as receptive as that, like wants to do the same thing. So I totally get that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you DJ a bunch of different styles, right? You don't just stick to one sound?
Yeah, I've always been very multi-genre, and that's
Mm,
something that I pride myself on just because, especially with my growing up, I collected so much music that I'm like, I just love so much of it. There's no point of me holding it back and restricting myself because if I love this much different music, I know others will connect and love that much too. And so I started out when I first started, it was very progressive house,
hmm.
it was mainly house and some techno. But I always loved bass music, drum and bass, hard techno, especially. I'm just like, I love so many different styles that I love to be able to tell a story within my sets of what I'm going through, what I'm feeling, and it doesn't matter the genre. It just matters as long as it flows and people can feel it. That's really special for me. And my favorite sets have always been multi-genre, so you know.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that I picked up on, and I wanted to talk to you about this because
Yeah.
I'm kind of in a similar lane. Like I
Yeah.
I started with house and then
Hmm.
moved up to techno, moved to hard techno from there and like more
Hmm.
trancey, like bouncy stuff. But then I
Yeah.
always loved bass music, so I try to incorporate bass music into my stuff as well. So now I'm like going back and forth between like bass music, like harder
Hmm.
sets and like bouncy like techno vibe.
That's so
And
fun.
it's so much fun, but like
Yeah.
I'm kind of like in my head about it because I'm like,
Hmm.
how will promoters think like know where to
Yeah.
put me? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I play so much stuff. Like,
Yeah.
for example, I um turned down a booking for something tomorrow that opened up really big opportunity, but I
Yeah.
said no because I didn't feel like I was the right fit for it.
That's
Not
fair.
not gonna name any names, but it
Yeah.
was like a big rhythm guy, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
like I play bass music sometimes, but it's not like I'm not playing tear out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
so I don't know. And so part of me like I don't want to confuse people with my what I play. So I
Yeah.
kind of just blanket it as like high energy or like high
Hmm.
speed, high energy, whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's cool, but like I just how do you feel playing different stuff? Like do you get in
Yeah.
your head about it or do you think like I'm just doing what inspires me? Because that's kind of
Yeah.
where I'm at. Like I go to,
Right.
you know, anything high energy, anything that's inspiring me in the moment and kind of just
Yeah.
go with that.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am too. I feel like
Mm,
I definitely get in my head at times. I feel like lately I'm more accepting of, I feel like, how do I word this? I've had definitely problems with maybe promoters not understand, like you were saying, not understanding my
mm,
style, or maybe wanting me to stick to one genre or stick
mm-hmm.
kind of in a box. And I've thought about doing that a lot just to make it easier for myself, but I'm also like, what's the point if I'm not being authentic in myself? And that's just
Yep.
not authentically me, as much as I try to force that, it just will never be me. And people can feel that. People can tell
Mm-hmm.
in your sets if you're being you, if you're actually just doing it for disingenuous reasons, like you can kind of tell. And so for me, I will always want to be myself when I'm playing because it's my only safe and happy space. And I'm willing to take less bookings right now
Mm.
for me just being myself. I would rather take a booking, kind of like you were saying. I will deny something if it's not fitting within my realm, even if it is cool. I just want to make sure it does make sense for me. I think that was kind of an interesting thing for me when I probably 2 years ago to a year ago, I was really into mainly playing drum and bass. And
Mm.
I had gotten my first two direct support bookings for Dimension and HeadX, which is really awesome and huge for me because I never opened for any artist before. And so that was like really inspiring for me. But I also realized I don't want to just do drum and bass through doing that. I enjoyed it, but I also have other parts of myself that I feel like I was holding back and not sharing when I'm only sticking to one genre. So I feel like just learned experiences of different sets that I've played. I've learned to be okay with just being myself, and people will book me for me, and I know it'll happen. And especially with music production, um, I think that's really special because you could really do a lot with different genres, but your sound can still sound like you. And that's a way that can kind of tie it all together, even when you are playing a lot of different genres. As long as your sound is similar and sounds like you, I think people will always know in a way.
I totally agree. It's all
Yeah.
like authenticity and just being
Yeah.
genuine to yourself. Like
Yeah.
during that Abstract show, somebody had posted a video of me on their story and they said like it was like this guy can't stop smiling or something and it was because I was just like so happy the whole time like
Yeah.
playing all this stuff and I don't know like I totally agree that people can see that, and like
Yeah.
the energy is going to be different in the room if you're
Hmm.
having a good time versus like if you're just like stone faced, like I'm playing this song and I'm playing this song.
Yes.
Like it makes a big difference.
For
And
sure.
you mentioned those support sets. That was at
Yeah.
I want to say that was Black Box, right?
Yes. Yeah, in
Yeah.
Charlotte. Yeah.
I think that's when we first connected. I saw you on Instagram. I
Okay.
want to say I had seen those and I was like, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool," because I was looking into like Black Box and like Charlotte and stuff.
Yes.
So that was drum and bass. So
Yes.
how did you go into preparing for those sets? Like where was your mind at with it being your first like support slots?
Yeah, so I remember when they announced that Dimension was coming out, and Dimension was actually one of the first sets I had ever seen
Mm,
at the festival I went to, and fell in love with drum and bass instantly. But I always struggled with mixing it. When I first started, I remember that was the hardest genre for me to mix. I don't know why. It was so difficult in the beginning, though. But after I got, some time mixing and got better, it started to flow for me a lot easier. And I'm like, oh, it's actually like the same as house. It's just
hmm
faster.
hmm
Um, when I saw that Sugar Society, I posted that Dimension was coming out. I just posted on my story and was like, yo, tag your girl if you want to see her open. I was just shooting my shot. I messaged them. I wasn't expecting a response, especially because I hadn't played any big gigs or
mm.
anything like that. But they reached out to me and just said, hey, like send over a mix just so we can hear, what type of style you have. So that was my first ever recording of a full drum and bass mix. And I remember I just went to my record box and I was just finding all my favorite tracks that I love to listen to, and which is a lot of like Amanu, Bunchin. Um, there's so many. I could go on and on, but I just prepared every track that I know I love to listen to and mix at home. And I just flowed for about 40 minutes, sent it to them, and they booked me for that. And that was really, really, really amazing because I didn't expect it. And I feel like we're always our own worst critic. So for me, I was like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it was really exciting to be able to get that opportunity. And I think I had like a 2 day notice. So I was very like, okay, time to lock in.
Yep.
And so I kind of went based off of the set that I had sent to them just because I loved a lot of the tracks, but made it different because I wanted it to feel like I'm like, okay, this is the time I'm opening for an artist I'm inspired by. Like, I want to be able to cater to the vibe of what he's going to bring too. So that was really, really special to be able to do that. And I think that night really cemented myself as an artist, especially out in the Carolinas. I think people started to kind of recognize me a little bit more. And I don't know. It was really nice to be able to connect with a lot more people. I got to talk to a lot of people after the show who thought I was from the UK, which was kind of crazy. Like, oh, I
Whoa.
thought you were out there just because your style. I was like, whoa, that's really it's really cool, and I feel honored because I love that style. But yeah, I don't know. I think that was really, really, really special for me as an artist for sure.
I love that. And like
Yeah,
it's a opening slot or a support slot is
yeah,
kind of an art in itself too. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
like a
for sure.
headliner or like if you're closing, you can just drop bangers all night. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
the energy's already up there. But like as an
Yeah.
opener, you kind of have to respect like where the room is at and like kind
Yes.
of build it up for the headliner without just going like
Hmm.
straight in. So
Yeah,
like that's also like something you kind of have to tackle too as an
for
opener,
sure.
you
It's
know?
for sure. It's definitely intimidating. You want to make sure you're not like not. I kind of get. I feel weird about the don't outshine the headliner thing at
Hmm.
times, just because I'm also like, you're booking the artist based on what they play. So of course you should know how to be as an artist. There is an art to opening and support, but also don't restrict yourself. I always say,
Hmm.
I'm like, don't just fully restrict yourself. Definitely be yourself and don't get in your head of being like, is this going to be too much if I do that? Because then you just overthink everything and it just won't work. But no, I agree. I think there is like it's really important to be able to build the vibe up of the room and make, especially people that come into shows. I feel like people forget that a lot of the times that could be their first rave or their first show. They've never been to one. And so you want to make sure they don't come in feeling like already overstimulated.
Yeah,
So
100%.
yeah.
What do you think those shows taught you with it being like your first support slots and moving forward?
It taught me that I it taught me that I definitely want to do it. Like I was like continuing to do that. I was like, yeah, like this is a lot of fun. It's stressful. It can have anxiety, overthinking, stuff like that. But that's kind of with anything in life. And I feel like if you just push yourself outside of that, it's I don't know. To me, it's the most amazing thing. And like I DJ sober.
Mhm.
I that's like my just personal thing. But I get the biggest like high and rush after I get off stage. Like it just feels like so much adrenaline. And I don't know, being able to see Dimension and then HeadX after, and being able to especially talk with HeadX after his set, it was really cool to be like, okay, just another human. You're doing the same thing as me, and it makes me feel like I can do it too. It's really cool. So I think that just motivated me even more and pushes me to be like, don't give up, because if that happens so early on in your career, who knows what's going to happen in the future. So I think that's a big
100%.
thing for me.
100%. And the
Yeah.
sobriety thing is big too, because I'm the same
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
I haven't had a drink for about 3 years, and it's
Wow, that's
because I
awesome.
was I was DJing every weekend, and like I would
Yeah.
have a couple. I never drank that much anyway, but like I would have a couple drinks, and it
Yeah,
was like if I'm doing this every weekend, like 3 nights out of the week, it starts to add up, and like you're
for
not
sure.
recovering as well, and like that's impacting your performance and your
Hmm.
work, and like I don't know, it
Absolutely.
just wasn't doing anything for me. So I was like,
Yeah.
let me try doing this sober, and it just ended up being like the best thing because like I'm
Yeah.
just focused on the music. Like some
Hmm.
people, I know DJs can use it as a crutch. Like
Yeah.
they'll have a few drinks to kind of loosen up and like not be
Hmm.
nervous. But
Yeah.
like when you're playing what you love, like it's just fun, and like
Yeah.
you get a rush afterward or like
Hmm.
during. Like I mean, the abstract set, I played 2 to 3, and I live 30 minutes from the venue, so I drove home, got home like 3:30, couldn't sleep till like 5 in the morning, just because I was like,
Real.
so yeah, I was like
Yeah.
just loving
Yeah.
it. So like, I don't know, I think sobriety is underrated in because we work in nightlife, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's kind of
Hmm.
normalized. Like
Yeah.
everybody's like, oh, let's go out, have drinks, like whatever. But like,
Yep.
I feel like you and me, like we just do it because we love music, you
Yeah.
know?
No, absolutely. I mean, that is also a part of like my growing up is I did see kind of the bad sides of that. And I
Hmm.
think that's maybe in a way why that pushed me away for a bit. But like I think it's good that I got to see it just because I don't know. I think that motivated me to not do that. And like you were saying, like it's just not going to last if you continue to do stuff like that consistently. It just takes a toll on you. And I already get sick enough after these shows. So I'm like, I don't need to add anything else on top of that.
So
Um,
true.
yeah.
Also, like I love going to the gym. So
Me
like if I
too.
if I'm like going to the gym and then going and drinking on the weekends, it's kind of like not helping the cause. You
Yeah,
know what
it's
I mean?
redundant. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. No, I'm
But
the same
like
way.
how do you, like I love staying active, whether it's
Yeah.
DJing or like going to the gym and just like or like
Hmm.
going for a walk or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think there's parallels there between like fitness and being active and like music and like DJing or producing.
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
I think because you go to the gym, you should try to show up every day and like put in a little
Hmm.
bit of work. It's the same
Hmm.
thing with like producing or DJing. Like
Yes.
if you just work at it every day, you're like 1% better every day, and you just like
Hmm.
you build on that.
Yeah, no, it's literally like you're training like your muscle, like your brain. You're
Hmm.
just doing the same exact thing. And that's also, it's like for me, the gym was a great place for me to listen back to my own music, listen back to my own sets, and like really analyze, because when I'm working out, I'm like, oh, I need a good a set song. I need something to really help me get through it. And so if my own stuff's hitting, that's how I know it's good. Like if I can
I'm
get
the
through the
same
gym with
way.
this, you too. That's awesome.
100%, 100%.
That's awesome.
So you mentioned recording that mix for the opening slot.
Yeah.
Do you I personally find it weird like recording a set in my room versus playing to a
Mhm.
crowd. Like it's
Yeah.
there's some kind of a mental hurdle there.
Really? Okay. I mean, I get it. I think for me, when I'm in my room, it's nice because so I think because I personally am someone who has a lot of anxiety. And so for me, it's nice to be able to like practice in my room and be like, okay, I'm imagining people are here. They're not here, but I'm imagining that they are. So I almost like to be like, okay, how can I be comfortable in my body and in myself and feel like I'm not worried about people judging me or anything like that. I feel like that was a really good place for me to just practice being a performer and practice
Mm,
being myself and not overthinking and letting go. So I think that was kind of why it's pretty easy for me now because now I'm just like comfortable just mixing wherever. But for a while, it was definitely uncomfortable for me to get in front of a crowd and be in front of people and not overthink, you know. Sometimes that still happens, but it's a lot easier now that time's gone on.
for sure. I think for
Yeah.
me it was a little bit of the opposite. Like I'm super
Mm-hmm.
comfortable like in front of
Yeah.
people if I'm DJing, and like if I
Yeah.
screw up like a transition here or there, it doesn't really matter because you're like moving on to
Yeah.
the next thing. But like
Yeah.
if I'm in my room and like recording a mix and I make like the
Mm-hmm.
smallest mistake, I'm like I got to start over. Like we got to scrap it.
You know, that's fair. I think sometimes I'll do that if it's like it's a really bad mistake. If I'm like, oh, that's really, really bad. I probably will do that. But when it's little things, I kind of am like, it's human, you know. I feel
Yep.
like a lot of the times people honestly want to hear at least maybe one little mistake just so they're like, okay, it's relatable.
Or like they're actually DJing. Like it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
pre-recorded. Like
Yeah.
they oh, there's a little bit of a mix like a mess up here, like, you know. Yeah.
Yes,
I think it's
yes,
normal.
always. For sure, for sure. And I think especially like when you're just experimenting and trying things, you're always going to make mistakes. And you kind of
Hmm.
always need to push those barriers, I feel like, within this career. You don't have to, but I love to. I love to push the barriers. So
I
it's fun to
agree.
experiment.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we get from playing drum and bass and those support slots to like
Yeah.
something more recent like your Club 411 set where like
Yeah.
you played a little bit of everything? Which
Yeah.
I checked it out on YouTube, by the way. Fantastic. Such a
Thank
good
you.
set.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah. So 411 is my friend Holiday's company, and he has always been very motivating and pushing for me and my sound. And he has always told me to be me and be myself. And that's really special to be able to have those sets to where I can play me, not have to overthink what I'm going to play or worry about that. You know, he gives me the vibe of the night. I get, you know, and then I'll just go based off that. And I think that going from playing one genre to then playing a bunch of different genres, it's cool to be able to connect with a bunch of different people because I'll have people that'll come up to me like, oh, I love the techno part of your set, or I love the bass part of your set, or I loved everything of your set. You know, I think it's fun to be able to find different people that like different things and maybe introduce people to new genres they've never heard or maybe they
Hmm.
thought they didn't like because you know they think they have to hear it consistently over and over, but it's like having maybe just one track of that drop, it's like, oh, that's kind of fun, I kind of like that. And so I think it was really cool to be able to play these Club 411 sets and just be me, and that's kind of the vibe of what his shows are, is just to be you and have a community of people that just want to be there and dance and have fun. And yeah, I think that was honestly my favorite set I've played in a long time because of that.
Awesome. That I mean, that's
Yeah.
so important. Again, going
Yeah.
back to the being you thing. Like
Yeah.
it's I don't know, like for me, if I'm playing a set and say like it's all techno, I
Yeah.
love techno, but
Yeah.
after an hour and a half, I get kind of bored. Like I want
Me
to switch
too.
it up a little bit. Like so
Yeah.
being able to drop like, you know, a bass track or like drum and bass or
Mm-hmm.
like whatever it is just here and
Yeah.
there, like it spices it up a little bit. Like
Yeah.
for example, like in my productions recently, I've been doing like half like dubstep, half like hard techno. So like one drop will be this,
Fire.
one drop is another one, and then there's like a little trap section in between. So it's kind of like, you know, ADHD maxing the song.
Me. Listen, I'm not ADHD. I love it. I love songs that have like triple drops. I'm like, yes, I need that in my USB now.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know, like and nothing against like just keeping the vibe, but like
Hmm.
me personally, like I just get a little bored
Me
sometimes.
too.
I don't know what it is.
I get it. I'm the same way. And that's why, like, To be honest, that's what I was saying. Like, that's my favorite types of artists that I've gravitated towards basically my whole life is, ADHD coded artists. I'm like, I just love it. So,
So, uh, we've talked a lot about DJing. Are you doing a lot
yeah.
of production as well?
So I've actually been more so recently
Okay.
buckling down into production. I've been getting some lessons here and there, and I actually just started new lessons yesterday. So I've just been teaching myself with what I can, but I knew that I'm like, if I had someone to help me and just teach me and guide me a little bit, I know that it would just push me even more so. So I'm just investing in my craft right now. I think this is like the time I'm like, I really want to be able to put out my own originals. I've put out
Mhm.
mashups, but nothing original. And that's kind of my goal for this year is to be able to finally just put it out and not be scared of that. I think that's been a thing is it's a little bit, it's personal, sharing your own music
Mhm.
sometimes, even when you're new. And I know people say just share whatever, but it's still very intimidating.
Absolutely. Like I've been
Yeah.
at it for like 10 years. I
Yeah.
just recently started like doing my own vocals. And
Oh,
even then,
wow.
I'll like put so many effects on it just to like make sure you can't tell it's me because it's
Yeah.
just so personal. I don't know what it's
Yeah.
like. It's like super vulnerable, even if
Yes.
you can't tell that it's your voice. You know what I mean? Because you're like
No,
that.
for
That's
sure.
me. That's me saying that.
For sure. I'm definitely the same way. I get like, it's funny because recently I'm like, I'm struggling with finding vocals and I'm not a singer. I'm not great
Mm,
at singing, but I'm also like, with how many tools and everything we have now, it doesn't really matter. I feel like if you have a good voice, you can kind of like make it work.
hmm.
But it's just about getting out of your head, like you were saying, and being comfortable with wanting to do that. So that's honestly really cool, though, that you're experimenting with vocals. I feel
Thank
like
you.
that's a good way
Yeah.
to push yourself.
For sure. I mean, I just
Yeah.
see it as another tool. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
for
just
sure.
and the same thing with like not having to rely on finding a vocalist or like finding a vocal sample. If you have an
Mm-hmm.
idea and you can just record it like with whatever your phone or whatever it is, you can just get it on there and then work with it from there. You know what I
For
mean?
sure.
You
For
just got to kind
sure.
of get through like the cringe moment of it being like just your vocal, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
You
for
got to put all
sure.
the effects on it first and then you're like, "Okay, now I can work with
Yeah, exactly,
it."
exactly. For sure, I get that.
So with production, what are you diving into? Like with playing so many different styles, like where are
Yeah.
you kind of starting? What's your North Star?
Yeah, so I've been experimenting with everything just because I'm
Mm,
like I got to see what clicks and like you were saying like DJing is different than production just cuz you never know what's going to come out, you just don't
mhm.
know. Recently I've been making hard techno and then like melodic house, which is really
Okay.
interesting, completely different. But it's just been kind of what's been calling out to me and what I'm gravitating towards. So I've been producing that. But I am wanting to get more into like some trap and be able to do like the trap and hard techno drops, like double drops and stuff like that. And eventually I would love to do drum and bass, but kind of like in the beginning of my DJing, I am struggling with producing drum and bass because with how technical it is.
Sure.
But I'm just kind of experimenting with everything. And I feel like for me, it's kind of whatever I'm going through and whatever I'm feeling, I just will go in and try to create something based on that vibe. And to me, it doesn't really matter what the genre is. It just matters that I'm getting the feeling and emotion out. And I think that's really, really cool as an artist to be able to do. And hopefully have other people feel that and connect with it. So yeah, yeah,
I love that. I'm the same way
yeah,
for sure. Like just not focusing on what style it is, but like what
yeah.
you're trying to say with it. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
What software are you using for production?
I use Ableton.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
If you need any help, let me know. I've been on Ableton for super long. And
Yeah,
like
I would love to. Yeah, whatever.
absolutely. Um, with just starting out, like you've been DJing for a while, with just starting
Yeah.
producing, do you feel there's a pressure to like get music out, or are you kind of letting yourself develop and like hone the craft before you like release something that's like, okay, this is me, you know?
Yeah, so I think for a while I definitely felt pressure from just outside sources and it's a lot of people that believe in me, but it can be pressure to feel like you need to be at this level because, I've been growing within DJing and it's been pretty quickly. I've only been doing
Mhm.
it for 3 years. And so with how much has happened in the 3 years, I think people have this expectation of my production maybe matching that. And that's that adds pressure to me at times, but I've
Mhm.
always been very vocal, I don't want to force anything. I don't want to force a song out just for streams or for gigs or for people maybe giving opportunities, because I know that opportunities will come at the right time when I release the right thing at the right time. And so right now I'm just honing my craft and really wanting to put out something that I truly love. And I don't want to force it, because I think that, like with the DJing, people can also feel that and hear it in music too. And
Mhm.
I want to be able to release something I'm proud of. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now for sure.
I respect that for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like it's important to do something that feels like you, because you don't
Yeah.
want to be. I know plenty of people who have like chased trends and like
Yeah.
just, not to say they're going about it the wrong way, but
Yeah.
you're making something with an expectation, and
Yes.
that's not what art should be. I feel like I think
Exactly.
it should just be whatever you're feeling and putting that out into the world, hoping that it'll help somebody
Yeah.
or have somebody, feel something from it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's kind of how I look at
Exactly.
it.
I'm the
Interesting.
same way. I think that because when I first came out, I made an Inner Blue mashup, and
Mm.
I made it for a gig, and it was like really quickly. I just like heard three different songs in my head, and I'm like, I need to like mash these up. I need it to play. I'm like, I just need it to be a thing, and I had no expectation of it. I was just like, I'm just gonna put it on SoundCloud. We'll just see, and it did surprisingly well. And I don't know, I had a lot of support from Danny Thorne,
Hmm.
our techno artist. She played it out, and I was just like in disbelief because I had no expectations of this track. I just put it out for funsies. It wasn't anything, barely promoted it. I just wanted to put out the thing that I loved. I was like, I love this, so other people might like it. We'll see. And that was really cool because I'm like, that's not even an original. So I can't wait to be able to connect with people just with my own original music. Like that's, I don't know, something about that goosebumps. Like,
Absolutely. And like
yeah,
promoting stuff is definitely important, but I
yes,
I feel like, you can promote something, but you want it to reach the right audience. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, and
for
I feel
sure.
like if you're putting out something genuine, you'll reach the right people with it. You know what I
Mm-hmm,
mean? Of course,
for
like
sure.
promoting something helps to kind of give it a boost, but like
Right.
it's all about finding the right people and the people that are
Yeah,
going to kind of propel you forward in your career, you know?
absolutely. For sure. I definitely
Um
agree with that.
you mentioned Danny Thorne.
Yeah.
Let me hit you with uh an introspective one.
Yeah.
Um Being a woman in
Yeah.
a mostly male dominated, industry. There's a
Yes.
lot
Yeah.
more female DJs and producers now, which I'm huge fans of, but
Right.
it's still a minority. You know what I
For
mean?
sure. Absolutely.
What perspective do you have, coming at it as a woman?
It's interesting just because I think I've experienced a lot, just being a woman, and maybe a lot of things of, a lot of the times I'm on lineups, I'm usually the only woman on the lineup.
Hmm.
It's been pretty far and few where I've had another woman on there with me, and it's really exciting when I do get to do those types of shows. But it's hard because I feel like there is this pressure of almost having to prove yourself as if you're worthy and good enough to be there, and it's like you're not just a cutesy girl on Instagram, like you actually do know how to mix and you do know what you're doing. And I think that I I've felt that pressure mainly in the beginning. I think I felt that for a while. And sometimes I still do feel that depending on the situations I'm in, and um, depending on promoters and how the show's going and stuff like that. I think that that's also something that can add to it. But for the most part, I have really just become very secure in myself and in who I am. And so even if I am experiencing something maybe misogynistic within the scene,
Hmm.
I for me, I don't take it as a me problem. I take it as a them problem. And it's just unfortunate for them. And for me, it's just I learned to not work with those types of people. And I choose to surround myself with people who do support me and support women and love to uplift women. And I have a lot of great male friends who are very supportive of women in this scene and love to push, and that's really awesome. But it has been more far and few than, of course, I would wish within the scene. So it's tough. I do think that things are getting better, and especially right now, there is a lot of discussion around everything that's going on, especially within the hard techno scene.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that it's nice to be able to feel like we can finally talk about this, because I feel like it's been a topic that is there, but no one really talks about it, or we don't really like to acknowledge it because it's uncomfortable. But I think it's really important to keep pushing for representation and just including women in spaces and seeing us as equals and just seeing us as artists. We are just as capable of doing anything. So I think that, like you were saying, it is growing a lot more. And that's really awesome for me because it just inspires me even more so. And I just know that there's going to continue to be so many more women that come into the scene. And I think it's important to keep talking about these things just so that people feel more comfortable to be able to join and to share their stories and to share their music and not hold back. So I hope that answered that. But
Absolutely.
yeah,
No, I
yeah,
love that. I think that's a very healthy way of looking at it.
yeah,
And like you said, there is a lot of, controversial stuff going on in the scene at the moment.
yes.
And as far as that goes, I feel like how do I put this? Some like higher profile artists in the scene are
Yeah,
almost given a pass for things that are not okay, and
absolutely.
it's because of them being high profile. You kind of get
Yeah.
like, a slap on the wrist, or like, oh, they were just like whatever, like kind of playing it off, and like
Hmm.
there needs to be accountability for stuff, you
For
know?
sure, absolutely. And I think even just within like local scenes and small scenes, like it starts there. And I've unfortunately just had experiences where I'll walk in places with my other DJ friends and I won't even be acknowledged in the room,
Mm,
and I can tell and feel that vibe instantly when it's kind of boys club vibe. And it's unfortunate because it is kind of a big part within the scene. And that's the one thing I do wish that would change, and
mhm.
it is growing and it is changing, but I unfortunately run into that more often than not. And I can take it. I'm pretty strong within it, but I just hate the fact that there's people that will go through that and are not strong enough to deal with that, and maybe can't go through with being an artist or doing music because of situations like that. And so my kind of goal in life is to just inspire more women to do it and block out the noise as much as you can. It's so hard, but I think it's really important, especially in this industry. There's a lot of things that you have to experience that aren't great. And so I think being able to just pride yourself on being you and being confident in who you are as an artist, I think will take you farther than you even realize.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, the noise is definitely a hurdle,
Yeah.
for a lot of people, but
Yeah.
it's so, I can't think of the right word, but it's like for a culture that was, started in like black and queer spaces,
Yeah.
that we're seeing sexism now
Yeah.
in something that's supposed to be so inclusive, and
Yeah.
people are supposed to be able to express themselves and be
Yeah.
safe and free in these spaces, and we're kind
Yeah.
of drawing the line there is so
Yeah.
weird. You know what I mean?
I
i
I agree.
i don't know, like, it's, I don't know why that's a thing. You know what I mean? It's the
Yeah.
opposite of like the whole philosophy of the scene, you know?
No, I agree. And like for me and my friends, we kind of talk about it, and it's like sometimes when you're at like I'm trying to think, like for me, I love Sarah Landry. I'm a huge
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Landry fan. And I got to see her at a small club in Charlotte like 2 3 years ago.
Wow.
And yeah, super super cool set. And when I saw her play, I was just like, man, like she is like amazing. And I think as a woman, I do connect more with women in the sense of I can feel their energy, I can feel the femininity, I can feel, I don't know, I can relate and I can feel it. And so I love to be able to see how many women artists are getting so mainstream like Sarah Landry. I think she's really like built almost an empire, and
Hmm.
she's really like set the tone for respecting women in the sense of like artistry, you know, like I feel like a lot more people became accepting when she really took over, which is really cool to be able to have that. But it just shows how far we are when it takes like only a like it's just we're so far behind, we're just still so far behind. And I don't know, it's unfortunate, but I do see and hope that it will continue to get better, especially with more conversations. And I don't know. That's just my goal, at least. I really, really hope so.
I agree. And I think like
Yeah.
these bigger female artists like, Sarah Landry, Emily
Yeah.
Lenz, I just
Yes.
saw Alley Cat,
Love
incredible.
her.
That was
Love
so
her.
fun. I think it's showing other women that, they can make it this far, that
Yep.
like if you just push through, ignore the noise like you said, you
Yeah.
can be just as good as a man, because
Yeah.
that's the truth. Like
Yes.
there's no there's not supposed to be inequality in the scene, and that's what bothers me so much about it. It's
Yeah.
like, you're saying one thing and doing another. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
So,
agree. I agree. And I think that's also a big thing with bookings. I'm like,
mhm.
a lot of these promoters be talking about booking women, but don't be booking women. So I think that sometimes there's a little bit of performativeness just from stuff like that. But in a weird way, I would rather you be performative and act on it just because at
Mm,
least it makes a change. At least like it does it, but you got to act on it still. You can't just be saying things and not do
sure.
it, you know?
Do you think there's a misunderstanding when it comes to women being booked? Because you mentioned like,
Yeah.
women who are actually in the scene doing things versus
Yeah.
like somebody on Instagram who might be like, faking a mix for views or like
Right.
looking pretty in a reel to
Yeah.
get clicks, like that kind of thing, who's
Mm-hmm.
not really DJing versus somebody
Mm-hmm.
who's like really about the scene and the craft. Like,
Yeah.
do you think that has something to do with it or
I mean, I think for sure, I think people's perceptions of especially things on social media, they'll automatically think it's the same thing in real life. You know, I personally I've had someone approach me after a set and said, "You were just trying to look hot on stage the whole entire time, right? Like you weren't
mm.
actually caring about DJing." And I'm like, "No, it's not really my fault if you think I'm hot. I'm just DJing, you know." That's a you problem, buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that people see things, you know, like that, like you're mentioning, like fake mixes, and just kind of assume that's like all of how women are. I mean, I don't think
Hmm.
everyone thinks that like that, but a good amount of people I feel like maybe can view it that way. And I don't know, it's interesting too because I will see a lot of like social media clips from other women artists posting a track of them
Hmm.
playing it, and they're like, well, they're not even mixing, they're not even doing anything. And it's like, well, yes, the track's playing, what should they be doing? You know, it's a cut up clip from a hour set that you didn't see, you know. And so I think that that's also just frustrating because as an artist like you and
Hmm.
myself, like we know like you're going to cut up anything for social media just to make the clip. So it doesn't really matter, but something like that can just be misconstrued into they're not actually mixing.
You're seeing like a 15-30 second moment of like a 2 hour long night or whatever it
Yeah.
was. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And they're like,
It's
they're not mixing.
Yeah, well, I just watched I think it was Nova who had a Boiler Room set. She's
Yeah.
fantastic.
She's
Um
amazing.
I was watching, and like the Boiler Room sets, you can see the decks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the
Yeah.
songs are playing, she's like stuff's happening on the mixer, you can see it happening.
Yeah.
Everybody in the comment, not everybody, but a handful of people in the comments were like, she's not even mixing. Like she's faking it. And it's like, are we watching the same video? Like
No,
are,
literally.
like, are you just saying that because she's a girl? Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point I've had of it's like, unfortunately, we won't win no matter what. So unfortunately, someone's gonna say something no matter what we do. And that's why I really strive on just block out that noise because they're not happy in themselves anyways if they're making comments like that. Because to be honest, I never make comments on things or people like that because I just don't care to. It's just not worth my energy. So if someone's wasting their energy on that, it's just has nothing to do with you at the end of the day. It's unfortunately just them. So yeah,
It's crazy. I don't know.
yeah,
Like I think you saying that it's a them problem instead of a you
yeah,
problem is huge. That's a great way
yeah,
to look at it because
yeah,
like that helps people get out of their head about it and like just
yeah,
realize that like you're not going to be able to please everybody or it's just what it is as long as you're doing
yeah,
you and staying authentic like we've said and just moving
yeah,
forward. That's all you can do.
exactly.
Like you're gonna get the opportunities, stuff's gonna keep happening. You're kind of you're proving yourself. I
Mm-hmm.
like to say like you're becoming undeniable is how I like to
Yeah,
put it.
I
That's a
like
good way.
that. I like
Um,
that.
but like it is what it is. And I
Yeah,
mean, I feel like everybody deals with it to an extent, but
for
like
sure.
definitely women more, just
Mm-hmm.
because like being a minority in the scene, like
Yeah,
it's just part of it.
for
Which,
sure.
but I mean, I like to see equal representation and that there's
Yeah,
more female DJs and producers coming up now is huge. Like I
I
love to see that.
agree. Same. It's been really cool because I feel like I've that was kind of my goal getting to the scene too. I was like, I like, or not my goal, but one of my things getting to the scene, I was like, I want to be friends with other women artists so much. Like that would be so fun. And it's honestly been like within the last year, I've really grown like a tribe of other women artists that I become close with and that inspire me. And, I think that that's also something that can be toxic within the scene is there can only be one woman. Like that's kind of a mindset that I've noticed at things. And I hate that because it's just not true.
Hmm.
And I hate the competitive nature that maybe can be pit against women within the scene because we're already, we're already struggling. We're like, we may as well hype each other up and support each other. And that's been just my goal from the start. Anytime I'm on a lineup with a woman or I meet them, I just want them to know, like, hey, like, my name is Angie. Like, I'm here. Like, I'm a safe space. I want that for everyone. I want them to feel
Hmm.
that. So, yeah,
Kind of a kind of a tangent. I don't know if you've watched the Olympics at all these past few weeks.
I have a little bit. Yeah, I was watching
Yeah.
here and there. Yeah, yeah,
I have been like my whole For You page right now is female figure skating.
yeah. Yes,
And
yeah,
I've been locked in. Like it's been so
yeah,
cool. But like it there was this thing that I saw and I don't want to like misphrase it, but it was talking
yeah,
about like the competitiveness of their industry and like how,
yeah.
they're being judged and all this stuff. But at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, they're wanting to go out there and perform their art for people. And I
Yep,
see like a direct parallel to like what we do with that. You know what I mean? Like
exactly. That's a
it's
good
not about
way.
like, oh, this person got this booking and I didn't, therefore they're
Mm-hmm.
like better than me. It's not
Right.
like that. It's
It
like
wasn't meant for you.
exactly
Yeah.
something else is going to come along and you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
able to like show your art. But like at the end
Exactly.
of the day, that's all we're doing. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not a competition like, oh,
Yep.
this song got more streams or like this person's headlining and I'm opening, like whatever it
Yeah.
is. It's not like that. We're
Doesn't
all
matter.
I like to think as DJs, we're in service of the crowd and we're
Mm-hmm.
laying the vibe out for the night. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We're not
Exactly.
there to like shine a light on us, even
Yeah,
though a lot of
exactly.
the times physically that's what's happening.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
that's not why we're there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
think that gets lost sometimes.
For sure. I agree with that. And that is why I do like love the shows with like limited phones and stuff like that. Just because again, I'm like, okay, you're not focusing on me, you're not recording me, you're just dancing and having fun with your friends. And like this last set I played in Greenville day before Valentine's Day, it was just a full room of people, no one on their phones. There was like little breakdance circles that were breaking out, and people were just like cheering for the person in the middle dancing. And that was so cool because I'm like, I'm watching them. Like they're not watching me, I'm watching them because it's so fun for me to watch. And I think that that's how it should be. I think it really should just be back on the people that are making this happen. Like we are there, but the whole reason the show is happening is because there's a community of people that want to be there and experience it. So
Absolutely. I also feel like as DJs, like we get told like we need to like read the room, which
yeah,
I think that's like super accurate because
yeah,
I've gone in with like a playlist, but then
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I start playing stuff and the crowd might not be feeling it, and I switch to
Right.
something else, and you kind of you it steers you in a direction to like feel
Yeah,
out the vibe. You know what I
for
mean? And it
sure, for
could be
sure.
completely different than what you were planning, but like as
Mm-hmm.
long as the crowd is having a good time, it's what it's all about. So like
Yeah.
in a sense, like again, you're a vessel for the music, and they're
Yep.
kind of steering the ship. You know
For
what I mean?
sure. No, for sure. It's like the vibe that you're feeling in the room. You're like, wait, okay, this is actually going to change everything. Like the whole vibe's going to be different in a good way. And so I agree with that. I think that those moments are like, I don't know, like so much adrenaline, so much like no way.
It's
But
also like
yeah.
flow state. Like you're just like you
Yeah.
get to a point where like you're not thinking about it, you're just kind of doing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for sure.
It's awesome.
I think that that is why I love it so much is it's the only thing I truly get in such a flow state with. I'm just like I'm just there. I could do it for hours, you know.
Yep.
I just love it.
And the more you produce and the more you learn Ableton, you're gonna get
Yeah.
that way with production too.
I
Because it's
can't
this
wait.
like I get locked in and I just start
Yeah.
like like just doing stuff. It's
That's
so
so
much fun.
cool.
You're gonna
That's
love
so
it.
cool. I can't wait. I'm definitely still struggling. Like I'm still like I don't understand this, but it's fun. It is fun. It's just very confusing.
You'll
But
get there.
yeah,
I mean, it just takes time. It's a
for
learning curve
sure.
like anything.
For
Um,
sure.
So, we're in February now. What does the
Yeah.
end of the year look like for you? What are you trying to accomplish this year? Like, where would you like to be?
Ooh. So I mean, for me, I definitely planning on releasing music this year is huge for me. That's like my number one anything. I want to be able to release that part of myself and just not think about it anymore. Just do it and start. And other than that, I my goals are kind of to travel and just hopefully play out in different states and different cities. That's kind of always how I've been. I don't play in my local area
Mm,
very often at all, and so there's not the biggest scene out here. So I just try to reach out to anyone who will take me and just, reach out to companies that I love and see and just try. So I think that my goals this year is to hopefully play in some new states and be able to play out my own originals, which would be really cool. And just to collab with some new artists too. I think that I've been making some really good connections with other artists that I love and am inspired by. And yeah, I would love to do something with them. So I think that's kind of my goals for this year.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Have you done Believe in Atlanta yet?
I haven't.
Do you know the contact guy there?
I
I'll
don't.
get you in touch. I'll get you in
Okay.
touch for
Okay.
sure, for
Thank
sure,
you.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Thank you.
Because that you would kill it there. Like, I
I
mean,
I I would love to because Atlanta, I played one time there. And I have a good friend in Atlanta, so I'm
mm,
always able to like go and stay with him and chill with him. So and I love it. I love it when I went down there. I was like, Atlanta's just special. I really loved it down there.
it's a very bass music scene, but there's
Okay.
also like pockets of techno like all over the
Fire.
place. It's really cool. And then there's like
Ooh.
tech house here and there and stuff, but like it's very like dubstep oriented. But then
Hmm.
like you can kind of branch off from that and go like in different directions, if that makes sense. So
Fun. No,
there's a
that's
lot of
sick.
variety.
That's really cool. That's awesome.
100%. Um Interesting. Okay, so man, I'm excited to hear what you're gonna make. The music that I've
I will
like
send it to you.
yeah, I'm excited because
I got
I
you.
don't know what to expect. You know what I mean?
Me
Like
neither. We'll both be surprised.
that being said, what kind of like rooms do you want to be in? What support slots or like,
Ooh,
what do you want to get moving forward? Because you mentioned like the Dimension and Headache shows like
yeah,
being strictly drum and bass and like
yeah,
you love that, but you kind of want to shift into like, multi-genre kind of
yeah.
vibe. Like where would you like to see yourself?
I mean, so ooh, it's with so many ideas. I just got excited.
There's no
Um,
wrong answer.
yeah, yeah. I think for me, it would be really cool to play support for a hard techno artist, maybe
Mm,
in the future. Like, I feel like I played one hard techno show, and that was really, really fun. It was one of my favorite shows I've played. So I would love to be able to maybe experience that and be able to make the vibe go from for that. I don't know. It sounds really fun to me. So that's kind of a goal of mine. And then as far as like multi-genre, huge artist inspiration of mine that I mentioned earlier is Amanu. I really
Hmm.
love Amanu's style of it's drum and bass and 140 and techno and just house everything, which is very me coded. That's like what I love. And so to be able to maybe find and play for artists like Amanu or just anyone who pushes the boundaries of multi-genre, that's really my goal. And I know that it's growing a lot more. I know that a lot more artists are getting comfortable with being more multi-genre and not sticking to one thing, which is really cool. So I think if I was able to get in some more rooms with people who just understand that vibe and support it, it would be really, really cool.
Nice. I
Yeah.
definitely think the lines are blurring in terms of genre now. Like
Yeah.
there's still artists that just stick to one thing, and that's
Yeah.
fine. But like
Yeah.
there's a few now that are doing a lot of different, like taking inspiration from like different elements and bringing it into
Yeah.
like whether it's techno or like whatever they do, and kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
making something new. And I
Yeah.
love that.
Me
Like,
too.
I don't know, it's so exciting, and
Yeah.
I like where things are going. I just hope
Me
we can
too.
like keep it wholesome and safe for everybody,
Yeah. Me too.
and yeah, fingers crossed,
Yeah. Yeah.
inclusive, all that.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I'm excited to
Yeah.
see where you're gonna go. Like
Thank
it's
you.
so cool because you got that DJ perspective, and you can
Yeah.
kind of take that into production, and it kind of like
Hmm.
it tells you what you need to be doing in production, because you know what
For
works on the
sure.
floor, if that makes sense.
For sure. I think that's been because my most recent sets, I've been testing out music of mine
Mhm.
and I can read the crowd. I'm like, okay, this part I need to change. This part's hitting. Okay, good to know, So it's good to be able to try it out live and get notes internally of it.
100%. I'm
Yeah.
excited. Angie, where can
Yeah.
people find your stuff? Where can they look you up?
You can find me Angie Ray. Instagram is two E's, two Y's. Someone took Angie Ray, unfortunately. But SoundCloud, we are Angie Ray. YouTube, Angie Ray. I'm gonna have some more full YouTube sets posted this year as well. And then music coming soon as well. So Angie Ray
Awesome.
everywhere.
Thank you so much for your time. I really
Of
appreciate it. This has been really
course.
fun. And we're gonna have to do this again when you like
Yeah.
have like at the end of the year, maybe once you have some songs out, like
Let's
see
do it.
where we're at, like a little check-in. That'd be
Yeah, I
fun.
would love to. This has been so much fun. I appreciate you giving me a platform to kind of share my story and be able to talk to you and get to know about you too. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you so much again.
Of course.